Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Carrow Road. It certainly doesn't feel like the penultimate day of the season. The weather is cold. It's cloudy, and Norwich City have drawn here 2-2 with Swansea this evening, and that means that their playoff place is not yet secured. I mean, it could be in the next few hours. So if you're watching this from the future and Norwich City have done it, hooray! And if they haven't done it, we go to the final day. So you can click whichever one of those up works accordingly. But as things stand here tonight, Ipswich play Hull in, let me check, about 90 minutes or so. And if Ipswich Town beat Hull City, then that will mean that Norwich City's position in the top six is secure. If Hull win that game, goodness me, that would throw the cat amongst the pigeons. That's for sure ahead of the final day. And a draw would not quite do it. And I think it would. Well, what would it do? It would put Hull on 70, wouldn't it? And Norwich would be 3 points ahead with a pretty good goal difference as well. So I think a draw would as good as do it. But for certainty, Norwich City need an Ipswich Town win tonight, which is a funny old place to be in. So just for maybe a few hours or a few moments, you'll allow yourself to want Ipswich Town to win a football match. Maybe you won't. I don't know. It's all semantics. But Norwich City have drawn here this afternoon. It was compared to last week, I thought a better performance. I thought they created opportunities with a little bit more will today, and it was probably about a combination of cutting edge and some excellent last ditch defending from Swansea that prevented them from winning this game. I think the frustration they have and will have is that the cards were all in their hand at half time. They were 2-1 up. They'd fought back from a goal down. They'd done the hard bit really, and then the second half was about management. It was then about could you add a third to go and kill the game? They just didn't quite and weren't able to do that. It means it's back-to-back home draws to end the season, regular season, here at Carrow Road. Given, I think, probably one win from these two games, would have been mathematically enough to secure a spot. I think there probably will be, as we stand here tonight, some, not disappointment, that's probably a bit strong, but maybe some regret that they weren't able to quite do it that way. Of course, that will all be superseded if later on it's secured anyway. So look, this was a really interesting game. I think it's the second week in a row we've had teams come to Carrow Road which are on the beach, so to speak, and they have really progressive managers. Liam Manning, it was Luke Williams today, and I thought Swansea looked really comfortable on the ball. I thought they pressed well. I thought they caused Norwich City problems in turnovers, but I thought this was a better Norwich City performance, if I'm honest, in terms of energy, in terms of intensity, in terms of their counter-pressing. The way they went after Swansea was better. They looked a bit less flat and fatigued. Maybe fatigued is the wrong word, but they had a bit more energy about them, a bit more presence about them. And it was probably just a lack of quality combined with probably some really poor decision-making in the final third, which means that they haven't been able to quite win this game this afternoon because they had the opportunities to do it. And it's really, I thought all day, to be honest, that their crossing was off, their balls into the box were wrong. I thought they tried to overplay in a couple of situations in the first half when they got themselves into pretty decent positions and squandered a good chance in favour of trying to make it a great chance. And you don't need to do that. The fact they've had nearly 30 shots here today and got, I think, 7 on target, that will be the frustration because this game was there to win and they haven't been able to do that. But as the old adage goes, if you can't win these games, make sure you don't lose them. I thought Swansea pressed Norwich well. I thought they caused Norwich City problems at points. They obviously took the lead in this game, and that came from Norwich getting caught in transition a little bit. They've tried to clear the ball. Jack Stacey's gone parading forward. Swansea have then won the second ball, nodded it into Jamie Patterson, who caused a real threat all afternoon, made a real nuisance of himself. He's then got himself into about that position and found the near post. I need to watch it back, but in real time, it felt like there was a lot of space between Gunn and that front post. I don't know if he's positioned himself for a cross or whether he's just, I don't know, got his angles wrong, or whether it's been hit so hard and so powerfully that it's beaten him at the near post. But I think whenever a goalkeeper gets down in that position, you ask yourself, could he have done a little bit better of it? And I'm sure, he will do that. But by the same token, the amount of times that he's bailed Norwich City out on this season, I think he's probably due. We're probably okay to let him off on that. And to be fair, Norwich responded well. They created moments, and it was a moment of brilliance, as it often is from Gabriel Sara. Out scraps really. This a long ball forward from Duffy. Lots of pinball. I think Stacey's won the initial header. Fashnak's then flicked it on. and Gabriel Sara produces an absolute wonder strike from range. Has curl, has dip, has pace. I mean, that's a man in a goal of the season competition with himself really at the moment. Certainly, maybe I'm missing one, but the individual goal against Leeds, the strike, the volley against Rotherham, which for me was the best, and then obviously today's strike, which was absolutely glorious, really. And it's the ability. It's almost effortless. The way that he can, shape the ball, and the pace and the dip that he can put on the ball. It was almost like he was hitting a free kick. It had that sort of technique and power and pace. And Carl Rushmore's a very, very good shot stopper at this level. You only have to look at these statistics and the amount of shots and goals that he's prevented this season. He got absolutely nowhere near it. It's kissed the underside of the bar and gone into the back of the net. And that is the quality that man possesses. And that is ultimately why, with or without Norwich City, he will more than likely be playing Premier League football next year, because the quality in those moments to win, not to win games today, but to produce moments in games that change it, that spin it, that produce something, is unbelievable. It's now, as I said, 25 goal contributions for this season for him. That's far in as 2 ahead of what James Maddison achieved in that 17-18 season. Not quite on the levels of Emi Buendia, but just unbelievable quality. And I guess that was epitomised again with the cross that followed for Norwich's second goal in first half stoppage time, where peels off to the left-hand side, and it's just a glorious curl ball. And for a striker, when you make the movement that Sargent did, it's an excellent piece of movement as well, to peel off to the back post. You just want the ball almost perfectly put onto your head, so you don't have to do too much, you don't have to strain, you don't have to generate any sort of power. Then it becomes all about placement, and the quality of the ball makes it a much not easier, because it wasn't an easy chance, but makes Josh Sargent's life a hell of a lot easier with what is a very difficult finish, to still try and get that into the ground, into the opposite corner. So the goals that Norwich City scored were real quality, but overall I felt their crossing, the final third play generally was pretty flat. I thought everything up to that was pretty good actually, and okay. As I said, Swansea caused them problems. I felt more so before their opening goal. I thought Norwich were in control at half time, and as I said, everyone in this ground I think probably felt like the pendulum was swinging a certain way. And the second half I think felt like a game which was the final home game of the season. To be honest, it was not the best game of football in the world. Norwich had some chances early on in the half, but again, there were either some good blocks or cleared off the line, or just not being able to work in the position. The final action being pretty poor probably prevented them from adding a third goal, which would have killed it. And then obviously, if you don't go and kill the game, you leave yourself susceptible at the other end, and that's what they did. It was Patterson's shot that was deflected. It falls to Ronald. David Wagner seemed to intimate that he was offside as that ball's fallen to him. I need to watch it back, to be honest, but in real time it kind of felt like, or it looked like, and obviously I'm positioned up here in the City stand, it looked like he was in an offside position, but maybe he's not, and he just gets to the ball before Angus Gunn, who fouls him really, and the penalty was rightly awarded if that offside is correct. Still better than VAR, by the way. And then Matt Grimes steps up and finishes it. And from there, really, Swansea probably had the better of, maybe not the better, but they had certainly more of the ball, more of possession. Norwich probably had maybe the better chances, I think, although I think it was relatively even. Shane Duffy, again, had a header that was cleared off the line. There were a couple of moments from set pieces that asked real questions. But beyond that, I can't really recall Rushworth having to make a save of any real quality, and that again probably speaks volumes about Norwich City's struggle in the final third this afternoon. And Swansea defended well. I felt would probably feel that they were good value for their point, and Luke Williams definitely felt that post game as well. So yeah, it was better from Norwich than last week. I don't think it's quite the levels that maybe they've hit, but they probably played worse than that on one, I would suggest. So yeah, look, I think it's one that if Ipswich beat Hull in a couple of hours, everyone will shrug off and won't worry about. But it doesn't half put pressure on if Hull go and win that game. And what Norwich don't want is having to go to St Andrews next week, with Birmingham having drawn against Huddersfield, knowing that they need a result to secure their survival. Hull obviously away at Plymouth, they're in a similar predicament, and then West Brom obviously at home to Preston as well. So that is the situation as things stand. It is really interesting to see how it unfolds in the next few hours. And obviously it makes everyone's life easier if Norwich City or Ipswich Town can do Norwich a favour. And obviously there's motivation for them because of Leeds slipping up as well. In and around the game, Ashley Barnes, there's a few points around substitutions I want to make, but Ashley Barnes came on. he was dropped, not dropped today, but dipped out of the starting 11. He's been dealing with a little bit of an Achilles issue, and within 15 minutes of being on the pitch, pulled up. That was his race run, really, and he was unable to complete the game. And that was a separate issue. That was a calf muscle injury. So Norwich have been managing this kind of Achilles knock that he's had for the last few weeks. They started him last week, against Bristol City. So today they decided to dip him out. And I think given the type of game it was, where I think Norwich were probably expecting Swansea to have maybe a little bit more of the ball than they did, and to hit them in transition, probably made sense for him not to feature in that particular scenario. But whether it panned out quite the way they imagined, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, obviously that's an issue, because if that rules him out, and we saw how long a calf injury kept Shane Duffy out of action for, that could potentially be season-ending for Ashley Barnes. Which I know people talk about his goals, but his influence, particularly in those big games, yeah, I think you'd miss those in moments in playoff games if Norwich City can get themselves there. Obviously, when you've got Gabriel Sara doing what he did today as a number 10, it offers you a very different type of quality and a very different type of threat. So that's one to keep an eye on. And then when Barnes did go off, David Wagner opted to put Jakob Sorensen on ahead of him, which was a curious choice. I think most people in here were probably expecting to see Sidney Van Hooijdonk come on. That didn't happen. He pushed Nunez up as a second striker. I did ask him about that after the game, and he felt that it was about wanting someone with energy and ability to go and step up and go and press a defensive free. Didn't feel that Sidney Van Hooijdonk was capable and able to do that, and wasn't maybe with the right skill set. Again, I think people can make their own judgments to that, but that increasingly feels like a manager that, for whatever reason isn't having a striker that was brought in January, and we can have a debate around that maybe at a different date. But yeah, that's the situation on that. Van Hooijdonk was then brought on with 30 seconds to go, and I think that was, if you question really what the point of bringing him on then is. So that's it really. It's that's the season done here at Carrow Road, unless, obviously, Norwich City can secure a playoff place, and we've got a playoff semi-final to come here. But we have the usual players walking around the pitch and all of that good stuff towards the end. A lot of fans stayed for that. A lot of fans didn't. I can understand it. And obviously, as I say, now we wait and we see what happens, and see if Hull can put themselves back in the conversation and create some nerves for the final day. Because, as I say, I don't think if you're Norwich, I don't think you really want to be in that situation where you require something at St Andrews in order to get yourselves out of that, because of the magnitude of that game, coupled with what has been, although improved recently, a difficult away record this season. So, yeah, we'll wait and see, and this verdict could age terribly in the next few hours or so. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching all season. As I said, we've got one more to go, Birmingham next week, and then hopefully some playoff games as well. So I won't sign off properly just yet. But yeah, from Carrow Road, and I'll spin round so you can see it from Carrow Road. That's 23 games. Home games, done and dusted. Norwich City in 5th. Let's see what happens tonight. Thanks for watching. See you soon.